Okay. So this one I'm going to try to take my time with trying to explain what I mean. Chakras. Chakras was something that a lot of people had learned to get used to, the idea of chakras. 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 You know, during the 90s, maybe early 2000s, but 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s, it's not too many people that was really talking about chakras like that. They weren't really talking about chakras like that. And then it became really big for everybody to know around the 2000s. Okay, around the 2000s. Came pretty big. How did it all of a sudden become so big like that? Like all of a sudden you just see this talk about chakras all over the place. Excuse me, sorry about that. You guys, I have been really getting my rest these few days. Sorry. Moving my tablet around. Yeah, but I've been getting my rest these few days. I'll go back into work tomorrow. But anyway, yeah, the chakras. Here's my issue with the chakras, and I realize the energy points, I don't really need the definitions to what they are. Why is it that you have to constantly protect your chakras? Cause you have to protect your energy and all this. And that's another thing, having to constantly protect your energy and guard yourself. That means you're in a very parasitic type of world. When you constantly have to guard yourself, guard your energy, put on your, it's like, it's not to say that you don't do that anywhere else, but that's to show that you are in an extremely parasitic type of world when you constantly do that. But then people who constantly have to do that, they're also more equipped for battle too, I have to say. I feel like if I was in more of an environment that was more about nature, I wouldn't have to do as much work to protect my energy and clear my energy and all that stuff. But I will say at the same time, when you're constantly in battle, and for me, the battle that I deal with has nothing to do with my physical location. It has everything to do with something that was done by family members when I was a little girl. And I'm still dealing with it now. Really nothing has to do with whether I'm in nature or not, because what they did, it doesn't matter where I am. It's a battle, And but I will say, having to constantly deal with all of that, that's why I say you live in a parasitic world. It's just a parasitic world. If somebody wants to come after you spiritually, it doesn't matter your physical location. And that's why I say it's a parasitic world. And when I say world, I'm talking about a particular consciousness. A particular consciousness that's dominating, that's very, very parasitic. Very parasitic, and I don't mean that you just got to eat food to live. I don't mean that type of parasitic. I'm talking about parasitic like you just want to attack somebody, take their energy for no reason, just to take. I mean, they have a reason to do it, but the other person ain't doing nothing to them, not doing nothing to nobody else. They just feel like they have a right to attack. But my question is about these chakras, though. I know they came from India, but how did they all of a sudden just become so popular? Maybe Indians have been practicing it for a long time, but how did they all of a sudden? And I know in other parts of the world it's called something different. They're not all called chakras. And they have certain colors of these chakras. My concern with these energy points, here's one thing I'm going to say something else, is that you have entities that's supposed to be so-called from higher dimensions that need to feed off of you. And so they're feeding off of, you have entities that's taking energy from your chakras. And you always got to refill or open it. Like, how are they able to close your chakra? How are they able to feed off of you? And you constantly have to do work to clear yourself, to open yourself up, because you have other diabolical entities that might not want you to rise up, might not want you to what they call ascend. And they do things to make sure it's closed. Why they need your heart chakra closed? I think it's transhumanism. Okay, with my own personal experience, because I didn't find this in the book. With my own personal experience, I feel like the purpose of them closing down your heart chakra and close, oh, they want you to stay in fear. But why? Why? Number one, because I think they can't vibrate but so high. So if you get into your heart chakra and then you rise above, then you cancel them out and they need to stay in power. So that's why they push all that fear. That's why people need to stop giving them so much power, because people have way more power. The fact that they can't vibrate that high and they need to close down people's hearts goes to show that the people really have the most power, but the people don't know it. And they fooling people into thinking they have the power because they are carrying so much money on them. But that money can be taken from them as well. You know. But how are they able to access folks' chakras and stuff? Sometimes they're able to access your energy when you're maybe in third and fourth dimension and all that stuff. Of consciousness, that is. Because you ain't physically going nowhere. You know, but of consciousness, your perception. You know, maybe that's why, but... So that's one thing, that's one concern I have about these chakras, these energy points, is that some other parasite is able, depending on where you are, they're able to come and feed off of your energy. Now, I've heard this before, that you have entities from the fifth dimension and stuff like that, that feed off of people's chakras, that feed off folks' energy. That's in so-called maybe third dimension and stuff like that. They feed off your energy. You know, but another thing I have with this is all around just programming. Maybe we should be reprogrammed, because I don't like this particular program where you're vulnerable to so many attacks. Because I said before in a video a couple of days ago that I was in a dream and I happened to look at my body because something was going on. I don't know if I was being attacked or what was going on, but I know I made a sound. And I just looked down and I looked at where my waist was supposed to be, and I saw nothing but numbers, like literally. And I remember a thought form came to me saying, you might not believe this, but you are in a digital dome. You might not believe this, but you're in a digital dome. We're in a dome. And I've actually heard that many times before. I didn't repeat it. I didn't repeat it because I didn't experience it. It's not that I didn't believe them, but I don't like to repeat what somebody else says unless I have this real experience with what they're saying. And in this case, I have a real experience with what they have been saying. And what they have been saying is the same thing. We are under a dome in certain areas like United States of America and other parts of the world. There's a different dome over each particular area. There's a different dome. Like there's a different type of consciousness. There's a different consciousness over each area. Okay? But yeah. And it's ran by codes. You know, so another thing I have to say about all this energy is that because I saw that basically I'm a bunch of codes, I'm a bunch of numbers. I mean, it showed that on the Matrix. It showed that on the Matrix. But basically, since I'm a bunch of codes, I'm a bunch of numbers, and everything I'm doing as far as driving the car, as far as eating, it's all programmed. It's all a bunch of numbers. It's all codes. The fact that I need to eat to think I need to eat to live, the fact that I need to drive a car, fly a plane, or just walk or whatever, or however you get there, however you get where you're going, it's not flying. And when I say flying, I'm talking about you flying yourself, like literally flying. Like say you want to fly, you just fly and not get on the plane. And the fact that we can't do that is because of the coding. It's because of our coding, I believe. I believe it's because we're programmed to be limited to only do so much. We're programmed like that. So that's another issue I have with these energy points, is that, is it really energy or is it information? I think it's information more than it's energy. And because you are programmed to feel like you need energy, you are programmed according to a particular matrix that you're in. And for matrix, I mean, for me, I mean it as a particular perception of reality. A particular perception is a particular programming you in, limited human programming. Really, the brain is the matrix. The brain that we think is the brain, that's actually a computer. For me, that's the matrix, the brain. Because the brain is not in your head. It's the computer, it's the matrix. And the brain is a matrix. I mean, if we're made of a bunch of numbers, you don't have no physical brain. Okay, so a lot of us, and I heard this before, but I never repeated, I never said nothing because I don't like to just, even though they sound good, I don't want to repeat what they're saying. And then I saw for myself, it came to me. Now, it's people who, I don't take psychedelics, but it's people who might have taken psychedelics. And it was one guy, he was a brown guy. I don't know what he took, but he said, I think it's ayahuasca, whatever. I think he said he took that. And he said he saw the matrix. He said he looked up. It's a dome. It's a digital dome. So he saw the same thing. And this was years ago when I saw this guy say that. I have been looking for that man's video and I can't find it because somebody else uploaded his video. So his video was on somebody else's page. And I don't know who uploaded it because that was 2 to 3 years ago. And I can't find that for nothing. Okay, and so he said when he took it, he said that he saw the matrix. Like, wow, I really saw the matrix. He looked up and he saw the dome. He saw a bunch of geometric. He saw geometry. He saw codes. He saw all these numbers. And then he said when he saw these entities, they looked like they were silhouette. And he was looking up and he saw them, and they saw that he was able to see them. And they did something to mess with his, he called it third eye, whatever, to shut it, to make sure he don't see them no more. And they did something to come down, did something to shut it. You know, they did something, pointed something at him, put something in his, whatever his third eye is supposed to be, wherever it's supposed to be. And they closed it so he wouldn't be able to see all that stuff anymore. Yeah. But he saw a lot of stuff happening when he took that. Okay. So yeah, that's all. I was talking about these energy points called chakras. In other parts of the world, they're not called chakras, they're called something else. Everybody don't call them chakras. That's one particular culture that like to call them chakras, and for some reason, everybody decided to take on what that culture wanted to call it. So that's interesting that everybody just took on what this particular culture wanted to call it. You know? Because there's other cultures that have other names for this. And then you limit yourself to 7 chakras, which is only chakras for the 3rd dimension. Okay? And because basically, I guess each chakra has its own type of reality or its own matrix or brain or whatever. And so you have more ethereal type of chakras too. Then not too many people want to talk about that. You know, they have chakras for what you would call the 4th and 5th dimension too, to ground into. I don't think people really discuss that as much. You know, I don't think people really discuss that as much. But anyway, yeah. So I was just wanting to think about these, talk about these chakras and why is it that the chakras as described from India, why is that the one that's used as opposed to all the other energy points that's described in other cultures that's called something different? Why go with that one? And then they're by color codes. I'm trying to see the purpose of what's going on with that. Why do they need it? I was looking at one guy's channel. He was talking about how he just colored all of his chakras black. And I think he might have colored all of his chakras black because a lot of these parasitic entities that like to feed off of people's energy points, they go by the color codes of your chakras. And so by him coloring them all black, they could not find them. They couldn't find his chakras to try to feed off of. Now that's just my guess though. Now other than that, yeah, I was just thinking. And then again, I told you, from what I saw for myself, I'm made up of codes. I'm made up of numbers. I'm in a digital dome. Other people have experienced that. I just haven't said anything because I haven't seen it for myself. And now I finally do. You know, but digital dome. So what is energy other than the fact that we're programmed to feel like we need it because we're controlled by digits? Okay. But anyway, that's it. And I'll talk later.